Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order. Let's see, 4:44 PM. And so Mary and Susan present, Paul, of course, Cassandra. So I don't, so on the agenda here, we'll go right to the any affordable housing site general updates. I don't have any general updates at all, other than what might be coming online. I've reached out to Bob Halloran, the new building inspector, to get an idea of where some properties were that were going through various stages of construction and approval, to find out when they're going to be ready, primarily because I'm on sewer and they have to come to us for sewer permit, even though they're sewer hooked up. So we're trying to find out when One Pleasant Street's coming online. Those are the 14 apartments on One Pleasant, right behind the barber shop. And then the one on 147 South Main. That's got the 3 apartments there, which is not
Where did we
required,
get?
but he is putting in affordable housing. We're trying to find out when he's pretty close to being finished as well.
So we get credit for 3 there, and how many at the Pleasant Street?
Should be 14.
So that's 17 right there. And
Yeah.
what's the status on the CJC as far as, are those counting yet? Because I thought there was,
They're counted. They were counted last year.
they were?
Yep.
I thought there was still some issue waiting until, okay, that's fine.
No, he needed sewer, but everything else was fine. So
So how many did we get there? All told,
I don't know, 20,
20 or 21 or something?
22, something like that. I forget what it was. Yeah.
Okay,
So around
So-
there. And
so that's like 37, sounds like.
Yep.
Which is
So
awful.
Cassandra did send us out a cheat sheet, so it has kind of that information in there for you. So it'll kind of give us the housing setup and all that stuff. So we'll be pretty good there. I know that I got a couple of emails from the planning board about what they're working on bylaws for the future. Because they have to make some changes to the bylaws. So my only comment to them was that I wanted to get away from allowing, affordable housing to be offsite or somewhere else in town. So they kind of agreed with that. So we'll have to see what happens there. Not that anything's going to be built under those new bylaws anytime soon, but they have to have the bylaws in place for this new MBTA ruling that came out.
So are you saying that they're leaning towards, is it coming from the select board or from planning or what? That they're leaning towards not having or really allowing a complex to have their units offsite?
So it hadn't, no, that was my only input to them. They're making bylaw changes because they need to. It had nothing to do with the select board. This is just the planning board. So they're making bylaw changes. They sent out a memo saying, hey, we're going to make some changes, any feedback? And the only feedback I gave them was, we've had 2 experiences so far where offsite housing would go. The bylaw changes they're making are specific to this density requirement. So I suggested that we don't offer
Offsite?
Right, and he agreed, but I don't know if there's further discussion that has to be done later on. So Cassandra, I don't know if you are familiar with that part of it or not.
Yeah, I mean, they've had brief discussions, but nothing in depth with the zoning bylaw committee or the planning board.
Okay,
So Paul, is that, I just want to ask another question on that, along those lines, please. So for other bigger communities, Boston, places like that, that have, I don't know, let's say there's a condo development that's going in at the seaport or somewhere that is a very pricey view type situation. Do they have some kinds of rules or regulations that the affordable units have to be within that building?
I don't know. It's up to towns to decide what they want to do. Ours came in place, Clark Brewer was on our board as well as the planning board, so he had
Yeah,
a
I
seat on
remember.
our board. So when we first started, the first year we started, that was what he had put in.
But it
Because
needed to be on site.
no.
Oh,
We put a
off-site.
payment in lieu or offsite was added.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that gave flexibility to the town and to the contractors, if they couldn't do something because of the restriction, then they would just not do anything at all. So that was the mindset, and this was done out in Wellesley, Weston, Lincoln area, and it worked well for those towns, I guess. So they kind of mimic that a little bit, but the decision on how do you decide what to pay in lieu was never made. And that was one thing that was on our goal for this year, was to say, okay, what do they pay? Is it
Yeah.
1% of the value of the finished property, or is it, some number you make up out of thin air? Nobody had an answer. So so that's my only suggestion, is when they go to start moving on this new requirement that the state has, that we put in a provision that says everything has to be on site. It can't be anywhere else. Because we're not, the new project in the village, we're not going to get credit for the 12 apartments, because they're going to put the property somewhere else, the 2 or 3 apartments somewhere else. We're not going to get credit for all 12. So
But we wouldn't get credit for all 12 if they were condos anyway. Whether they're on site or away, it's only if they're apartments that you get credit for all of 12.
and they are going to be apartments.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yes.
so with apartments, they can still opt to select off-site.
Correct. And that's what they did.
That's
So
what they chose to do.
they-
I
they-
thought that option only applied perhaps to condos, like what's at the harbor, what's going in, down at the harbor,
no, it's anything to do with affordable housing.
whether it's,
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
matter if it's condos or apartments.
okay,
Yeah, or what size. It could be, you only have to put in 1, or you have to put in 10 somewhere. There's no restriction on any of it, so that's been the issue. So we'll have to see, where it goes.
okay,
So
thanks for
Sandra,
explaining.
it's still 12 apartments, right? Because they got approved.
Yes, it's still 12.
Okay, yeah,
And so they're doing 3 off-site, is that what you're saying?
2.
2.
Oh, I thought you said 3.
The
Okay.
plan is to do 2 off-site, but if they cannot find a suitable off-site location, then they have to do them on-site.
Okay,
Right, so we're only gonna get credit for 2 affordable. So,
is it worth considering a suggestion for a bylaw that would say if it were condominiums, which obviously are a more expensive, type proposition and longer term, that they would allow that to be offsite, whereas if it's apartments, because you're not going to get full credit for condominiums anyway. Whereas if you have apartments and you require it on site, then you would get credit for all of them. But so for condos, for instance, if that complex had opted to do condos, whether they put the 2 condos there or if they did them off site, it's not going to change the count for us. I mean, if we're looking for a count, it doesn't really make any difference to us. And it might make a difference to a developer as to whether they choose to do the project or not do the project, if it's financially viable for them.
right, yeah, that's something we'd have to look into.
Maybe that would be a way to, balance it. So we still would require for an apartment complex that they have those on site. But if they're doing condos, that they could choose off-site.
Yeah.
Because as I say, we're not going to get credit for all of, the whole complex anyway.
Right. Yeah, the ones up at the train station are apartments apparently, not condos. And I don't think our bylaws were in place when they put them in, so they didn't have to comply. So we only get credit for 2 units up there, not the whole 10 or 12 that are up there.
The ones there at that building that's where the athletic center is and stuff in that building?
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
only get credit for 2 of those. Okay.
right.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
So those are kind of the updates. I don't know, Cassandra, if you had any other updates, anything coming across planning?
Nope, that's pretty much it at this time.
Okay. So. Mary is still with us. I don't know if you have any updates for us, Mary, on the subcommittee. I know that, Mary and I were a little frustrated. We got kind of a last minute notice from Habitat. Hey, by the way, on Monday, we're gonna go meet with, the Rotary and do a presentation. If you want to join, you can. We'll be there on Monday. And I'm like,
Was that from tomorrow?
yeah. So we were kind of a little taken back by it, like, well, okay, I guess they're kind of out doing their own thing. I don't know. So I couldn't go. And I don't think Mary was able to go.
And when was that supposed to be? This past Monday?
Last
Yes.
Monday, yeah. I actually went and she and her boss did a good presentation. Sort of didn't acknowledge me, not that I care, but didn't acknowledge me, so that I don't think anybody knew that the town was involved in this.
Well, that's kind of a disappointment though, just in terms of visibility for us.
Yeah, yeah. So, and, they did kind of a generic presentation about the development and what we're gonna put there, and, it'll be interesting to see if they get anything out of that, so.
Okay. And then, were you gonna try and do something this week at the farmer's market or next week?
I did it last week.
Oh, last
and
week, okay.
Yep. And we had a certain amount of interest. Tamara is really good at grabbing people and roping them in. So lots of families were interested. A couple of people signed the board. Nothing, a couple of people volunteered to help build. And I was, again, curious why Tamara didn't have a sign-up sheet for people, but they took her card, and so.
Yeah. And Mary, do you know from her or from, I don't know, anyone there with Habitat, when they're gonna have like a major article in the, I don't know, paper or something that,
She did.
even
she
in the
did-
South Shore magazine, that one that comes out, the coastal, whatever it is?
Yeah, she didn't offer anything or say anything about it. And there's gonna be probably what do you call it? Where they dig the shovel. Anyway, there's gonna be an event.
Like a
around-
groundbreaking?
Yeah, groundbreaking, probably.
They're gonna give us more than 2-day notice?
Yeah,
Well,
really?
Yeah, well, I'll try to keep on her for, for dates and stuff. But I mean, she said at Rotary, they've accumulated 68% of the cost. So
What do you mean by that?
they've got donations that pay for 68% of it. So,
68%
already.
of the $521,000 we need?
correct.
That Rotary has accumulated that?
No, the Tamar said they have.
Oh, that
Yeah.
they have.
Habitat, yeah, because they're getting it from all their corporate sponsors. So,
So, I asked her what we need to do on our end, and she said, nothing right now. So I think it's weird, but
Yeah, they need to have 391,000. So if they've got 65%, that's a good, chunk of
Yeah.
it.
mm,
But I think it would still help though to have some kind of a major something that goes out like in that coastal magazine or
Yeah.
something that people all around the South Shore, in particular Cohasset, read. Because I'm always just boggled to find that people don't know about this.
Yeah,
I'll talk to somebody and they go, oh, that's great. That's a wonderful idea. But they don't
Yeah.
know about it.
I agree. I think she's relying on Justin from the town to help with this, but I don't think he has the, I think he's overloaded maybe with requests to do stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his email list of people is.
Yeah.
If it's just committees, towns and boards, or if it's, general residential population of people, I don't know.
Yeah, I,
You can go by the voter list, if you give an email when you register to vote or
Yeah.
something, I don't know what he's going by, yeah.
And
Yep.
Mary, do you know if she's been in touch with like the realtors in town, in terms of,
I don't believe so. I don't think she's gone out to do a, community outreach yet. I suspect she might have been holding back to see what Rotary would help us with. But I think
Right.
it's, I think it's time to, do what we need, what is needed to be done, whether I can't stand this, my voice. But she is supposed to, take that on, coming up, and she didn't, I asked about helping and she said she didn't need help right now, so.
all right, well, maybe I'll try to reach out to her in between. I mean, I'm leaving to go to Buffalo in another day or two to go for my mother-in-law's funeral, but I'll be back for a few days next week, so maybe I can try to be in touch with her. And then we leave again. We're going out of town for 10 days. So I'll try to reach out to her next week.
Okay, like I said, she has not asked for anything, but yet, I know she needs help with people, so, that would be great.
Yeah, there must be some kind of a real estate group,
Yeah.
within the South Shore, and in particular Cohasset,
Yeah.
that could be approached. Okay.
Just taking our copious notes here, so, yeah, I don't know. I just hope they don't come to us, in August and say, oh, by the way, we need 150 grand, or we can't
Yeah.
give you the key to the door. I don't know how it works, but
Well, they have to
I-
have 75% before they can do a groundbreaking.
Well, they're at 68, so
They-
they're
they,
getting there.
they said they were waiving that rule.
Oh, they did?
Yep.
Okay, well, so we don't have any idea when the groundbreaking is going to be, though.
I think she said late July, August.
Late July, August. Okay. One source I did approach was Officer Quigley, Chief Quigley, to suggest that he might want to consider the police doing a build day.
Oh,
And
neat.
and maybe, the firemen,
Yep.
fire people can do that as well. But just, gets that visibility, as well as just their, the commitment from the community itself.
Yep.
So,
Sounds great.
yeah, I don't know if that'll fly or not, but Quigley seemed interested, and very interested in
Yeah.
it. So, but I didn't know about any dates to even let him know when it might happen, when they might start.
Yeah, we talked about that while we were sitting outside the town meeting. When we had the.
We were out of
Okay.
town for that.
Yeah, we talked about different groups coming to do some of the construction build or landscaping or that type of stuff. I know Bill Mahoney committed to getting some of the youth from the high school there.
Yeah,
And,
good.
I know I mentioned it to Father Scott at St. Anthony's, and he said when he was up on the North Shore, Salisbury, Amesbury, they did Habitat up there. And they had a working worship group where the different churches in the town got together, and they all kind of did build together, you know what I mean? So they got them all together and they all did something together on one day.
Well, the wife of the minister at the Unitarian Church came by and said, oh, she was going to tell her husband and that she thought it would be great for a community project for them as well. So,
Yeah, I think that would be probably the case, very likely for the other churches in town as well, because I
Yeah.
know a man at St. Stephen's who's no longer living, but John Seavey, I might have mentioned this before, used to be the chair of the committee that selects the families, that interviews
oh, okay.
and helps select the families as recipients for the South Shore Habitat. So, and he was at St. Stephen's and he was very involved with that. So I know St. Stephen's is still kind of continuing with that. And I would imagine Second Congo would be interested in trying to do something like that too. So I think that's a great idea.
Kind of like a
try to see
mini
if-
ASB for adults, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great idea. And I did approach Chris Kennedy at Kennedy's to see if they would be interested in providing some plant material for the landscape. And he said, absolutely. So just,
Oh,
and,
terrific.
let me know when you're ready to do stuff. I'm not sure it's going to be like $10,000 or $15,000 worth of stuff, but
Yeah.
but
That's just a start.
he's always very helpful in the community. So he is interested in helping on this as well. So that's great.
Yeah, I thought I'd try to get together with Tamar next week, because this week has gone by pretty much for me. But and see.
Well, maybe we can do it
what
to
they need.
Mary next week together.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Just let me know. I'm not getting back into town until Monday night from Buffalo. So,
Okay.
So what is it? It's on Thursdays, right, Mary?
Yeah. So maybe,
Yeah. I mean, the farmer's market.
yeah, that's on Thursdays, but so maybe we could meet with her Thursday before the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And just kind of
Sounds
combine
good.
it all together.
Apparently the Michelle, who runs the farmer's market, took Tamar around to all the tables before I got there last week. I get held up. So so that was good. They introduced her to people. And apparently David Bigley used to run Habitat in South Shore. So he had a lot of, his enthusiasm, and he's somebody that we can, count on. Rich sees him at Bocce twice a week. So
Yeah, he's at St. Stephen's too. He
Yeah.
and John Seavey, I think we're both real involved with it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, rolling right along.
Yep.
So let's see, we're on the administrative side, so I want to talk about next meeting. Do we want to skip July and go to August? Or do we want to do something in July?
Why don't we find out, if you can, when the groundbreaking is going to be? Because I think it's important for us to be there for that. I think that's really critical for us all to show up.
Yeah.
But we need to know when it is. So,
Yeah, I had a couple of people ask me if they would cut the grass over there, so.
well, that's something the town could be doing. It's the town property.
It is not. It's
No,
private-
we don't.
private
Oh, it's,
property.
owned by
that's true. It's
Habitat
not
now,
in
yeah.
anymore. You're right. You're right. Absolutely. Sorry about that.
So, yeah.
But
so,
otherwise, I suppose we could skip July. Kind of depending on when the
Yeah, so,
groundbreaking is, and if there's anything we need to do related to that.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we could, let's find out from them. We're either gonna skip July or August. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if we can have something with Habitat in July, that would be great. And then we can skip August and just resume in September.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
All right, well, that works too.
Yeah, so,
But I do think for the groundbreaking, it would really be important to have some good visibility from the town. I'd love to see, like if Chief Quigley could be there, it's kind of, indicating that the police, some of the guys,
Yep.
from the police department are going to be helping to do a build, kind of kick it off. And somebody
Yep.
from the select board. Don't we have anyone who's a representative from select board who could, who's a representative on the trust, maybe the Affordable Housing Trust, who might want to be there since they put money towards this?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a groundbreaking, we're gonna invite the committees that are
involved.
involved. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
That was the,
CPC, I know Russ would probably come.
yeah, so it was, there was a couple of people that, gave the town manager his opinion the night of the gala,
Oh,
because there were no current select board members there at all.
Yeah.
And there were 4 prior select board members there.
and why is that, Paul?
Were they meeting that night, maybe?
You know, it's,
Oh.
they're just not engaged, and I think, you know, it's a paid event, with the amount of the
Yeah.
event was kind of high for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And, you know, if it was, you know, $80 to $120 or something like that, they probably would have got a ton more people there.
Yeah.
But, I think Mary and I talked about
the cost was steep.
I don't know who they told, you know, we don't know who they promoted it to, and, you know, if they're just relying on, you know, Justin to send out an email blast on a Friday afternoon that people are gonna read everything and go sign up, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't even get our information to us to where we could buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Until like the week before or 2 weeks before, you know, so. But the trust folks were there, a number of those guys were there, and.
Well, that's good, but I would have thought that whoever the select board liaison is to the trust, they do have a liaison, don't they? We don't.
There
but
is
I
a
think they do.
liaison seat. Currently it is unassigned, to my knowledge, because it was Diane Kennedy, but she stepped off.
Yeah.
Right.
kind of
Um,
stuff.
So I'm just waiting to hear who they assign to that liaison seat.
And how do we kind of jiggle their chain to get them to get somebody to put it in? Because to me, it doesn't read well if you understand.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
just looks like they don't care. I'm
Yep.
sorry, I don't mean to be so
Well,
critical.
it was obvious the night of the, the gala that, you know, we're all looking around the room saying, you know.
Yeah,
there's a
who's
bunch of
here?
people we think should have been there, and
Yeah.
maybe they weren't asked, or, you know, I don't know why they weren't there.
Well, they care about the town hall, how much money it costs, and they care about the high school, what's gonna happen there. And I guess they care about sidewalks.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what other things are really high in the list, but affordable housing is something that has been an issue that needs to be addressed, and we're trying to do it, and be nice to get the support.
But we'll find out. If there's a groundbreaking and a camera, I know there will be a couple of.
Oh,
select-
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll do that. So Mary, do you want to find out from tomorrow, or do you want me to reach out to her on the groundbreaking stuff?
Okay, I'll check in with her.
Okay.
I have this nerve thing in my face that I sound like I'm half
No,
in a
that's all right.
bag.
You sound okay. It must be hard for you, though.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, just keep me in the loop if you need
No,
anything.
yeah, I will. Yeah, I could check with tomorrow and see what they're, I'm sure they get all the, town officials and stuff as much as they can.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Mary, if you could just let me know, or anybody, what you ultimately end up deciding if you want to have a July meeting, because currently you're not scheduled for one. So I would just need to try to plug in a date for that, if that's what you end up wanting to do.
Paul, why don't we go ahead and schedule one for July, like you were talking about, and then think towards maybe skipping August, and then we can pick back up in September, because by then, hopefully, the construction building is going to be pretty ramped up.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I have no problem with skipping August for sure. And I would say that for July,
It'd be the
Um,
second Tuesday, right?
well, we could do that. That's the 11th. Or do we want to find out from tomorrow when they're doing the groundbreaking? We can have a meeting at the groundbreaking.
oh, yeah. That's
Well,
helpful.
if we have a meeting at the groundbreaking, we can't cover all the things that we need to cover when we do a meeting like this, though.
Yeah.
I am unavailable on the 11th, so it would likely
Okay.
be the 18th, would be the next available
18th,
Tuesday.
18th or 25th.
Correct.
I can't do the 25th. I'm out of town. Our daughter's coming from California, and she and her husband haven't been here for since for a year and we haven't seen him since their wedding in September. So I'm not missing that. She's here for 4 days.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Cherish the 4 days, right?
Right.
So, all right, well, there's the 18th, which is Tuesday. It could be any day. It doesn't have to be a Tuesday, but. So yeah, I
think
suppose we
so.
can,
The 18th is fine for me.
18th.
Yeah.
All right, let's put down July 18th, Cassandra, if we can do that.
Sure, I'll put a hold on that day.
Okay. And then we'll find out from tomorrow what's going on and we can always make adjustments. from there. Yeah, because
Yep.
our affordable housing meeting in July is gonna be solely on this whole habitat thing.
Mhm.
So if they're gonna have a groundbreaking, then we ought to be able to have a meeting. And they could set it, they'll have a tent set up is my guess, couple speakers and then we can have a meeting right before the groundbreaking or something like that.
So are you thinking of doing that in lieu of a meeting on the 18th?
Correct.
Okay, but
So-
for now, shall we put 4 o'clock on the 18th? Is that what we're trying to aim for?
Right.
Okay,
So
We
we'll
had
leave-
originally moved the meeting times at Jem's request to 4:30. Did you want to switch back to 4?
well,
No,
for us, that works better. I don't know what it is for the rest of you all. As I was saying to Cassandra earlier, Michael has a monthly meeting every second Tuesday. Well, this won't be the second, so that won't be a problem for the next one. But
Right.
he has a monthly meeting as on the Board of Trustees for our HOA that is literally like almost, 20 minutes to a half hour after this. And those usually go for like an hour and a half. So that's why you've seen him cooking in the kitchen in
Yeah.
between, because we're trying to sandwich in, grabbing
Yeah.
something quickly in between when this ends, and it invariably doesn't end right at 5:30. And then his meeting starts at 6. We're trying to wedge that in
Yeah.
between. So starting at 4:30 is okay, but if we keep going and going and we're not through till 10 of 6, then
Okay,
it's rough. It's hard, but that's,
yeah, so for the 18th, you're good for 4:30 though?
yes, that's fine.
Let's
It's
do
not a
4:30.
conflict.
Let's do 4:30.
So
And I
4:30.
know that should be good for Jen because I think her kids are out of school in July. I'm hoping. And I know she works and that type of stuff, but that might help with her being able to attend. And then
Sounds good to me.
yeah, and then I think planning board wanted to assign somebody to one of our board or something like that, or some liaison of some sort, right, Cassandra?
Yeah, so you guys have a planning board liaison seat in your charge. It's currently obviously unfilled. They have been discussing filling all of their liaison seats amongst the different committees. So that they are requesting either the chair or a representative from the steering committee to attend their next meeting next Wednesday at 6:30. Just to kind of fill them in on what's been going on, what their role would be, and whether or not the steering committee thinks that somebody physically filling that seat is helpful, or if you would rather just touching base with them.
Is that the
periodically.
21st,
Yes, Wednesday, the
Okay.
21st at 6:30.
6:30 PM? Is that a Zoom or is that in person?
It's a Zoom.
Oh, okay. So I could probably do that.
Okay, I can send you the
Yeah, send me the
meeting
invite. So if it's a Zoom meeting, that's great. I can do that. I gotta take this real quick. Okay, I'm on my way. Thanks. Okay. Sorry about that. They're in the clean room
problem.
building product and I have to get them the product.
You're needed.
So, okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll meet on the 18th, unless There's some
4:30 Zoom.
breaking. Yeah. All right, great.
And
Thank you.
Cassandra, thanks for adding my email on there. So that's great.
Good night,
All
all.
right. Bye, everybody. And
Okay.
Mary, you be in touch with me if you know more about anything with tomorrow, okay?
Yep, I will.
All
Thank
righty.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks.